Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Apple changes strategies to bring artificial intelligence into their platforms. Reels has been extended to 20 minutes, which I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to talk a little bit about innovation. Enjoy.
Carpenter, my daddy sold TVs. My mom watched other people's kids and anticipated needs. And when we go out to get groceries, I would flip through magazines.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. You might remember me from such businesses as 3T Fitness, which is now 3T Warrior Academy, Blockheads, which is the creator of Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, and Age of Radio, the podcast network for everyone. And by that, I mean, if you have a podcast, we help you distribute, monetize, and grow your podcast. Absolutely all for free. So check us out at ageofradio.com. We are looking for more podcasts that are related to a business. And I just want to give a shout out. I just got off a phone call with one of our podcast hosts from the Independent Artist Spotlight show. So make sure that you check that out. I know for myself, I need to do a better job shouting out these specific podcasts on my show, such as Home Video Hustle, who's been with us a long time. Everything I learned from movies. There is Good Morning Crypto. There is For Screen and Country. There's so many podcasts out there. So my goal is to do a much better job with me personally talking about them and getting them engaged in what we are specifically doing inside of the network, which has been difficult because there has been lack of communication on my part, and really trying to repair that, create a support system for them to get help when they need it in regards to the distribution of their show. So this is definitely a great time to think about bringing your show over to our network absolutely for free. Again, we cover the distribution, help grow it, and hopefully get it to be monetized over time, which is also dependent on the growth of the show. So check us out at ageofradio.com. And with that, I want to get this show on the road, and I have my iPad turned on, and I'm going to say Siri, and Siri's going to talk probably. Oh, nope, she didn't. But I want to say that Apple is weighing using Anthorpic or OpenAI to power Siri in a major reversal. So Apple Inc. is considering using artificial intelligence. This is reported from Mark Grumman from Bloomberg, who I use Bloomberg's on a regular basis to get my information, some of my information anyway. I love news and I love getting notifications and I love reading the news as well. But Apple is considering using artificial intelligence technology from Anthorpic or OpenAI to power a new version of Siri, sidelining its own in-house models in a potential blockbuster move aimed at turning around its failing AI effort. The iPhone maker has talked with both companies about using their large language models for Siri, according to people familiar with the discussions. It has asked them to train versions of their models that could run on Apple's cloud infrastructure for testing. If Apple ultimately moves forward, it would represent a monumental reversal. The company currently powers most of its AI features with homegrown technology that it calls Apple Foundation models, and had been planning a new version of its voice assistant that runs on that technology for 2026. But it looks like they're going to try to utilize OpenAI or Anthorpic infrastructure, or I guess large language models, to help power the new rendition of Siri. A switch to Anthropic's Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT models for Siri would be an acknowledgement that the company is struggling to compete in generative AI, the most important new technology in decades. Apple already allows ChatGPT to answer web-based search queries in Siri, but the assistant itself is powered by Apple. Apple's investigation into third-party models is at an early stage, and the company hasn't made a final decision on using them. A competing project internally dubbed LLM Siri that uses in-house models remains in active development. And this is important. The reason why I'm talking about this is I'm continuing to push everybody to spend more of their time to make sure that they understand artificial intelligence, to use artificial intelligence, and make sure that you're using it in some capacity in every day. We're testing a lot of things with generative AI at our 3T Fitness business. We're also doing a lot of it with Age of Radio and with the marketing that we're doing with it, and on my own brand, Age of Jeremy. And two, if you want to see some of that stuff, make sure that you follow me at Age of Jeremy. You can also join my updates, my Dope Insights and Updates broadcast channel on Instagram, which I'm working to bring more and more stuff to that platform as best as I can. And so, again, I'm talking about this because this shows the importance of how strong artificial intelligence is going to increase in our lives. And it also shows the fact that it looks like a lot of it's getting consolidated to Anthropic and OpenAI, which just provides an opportunity for a lot of businesses to maybe start to compete. They're going to be behind the gate. Like, I get that. But again, what's going to eventually happen is AI is going to become like an oligarchy, essentially, of OpenAI and like 3 other companies. And that's one of the biggest problems with technology. So I want to make this prevalent, I guess, because it's very, very important for us to make sure that we are thinking about how that might look into the future. And if you are involved with politics, to write letters to your senator and congressman. My cousin does that regularly, and those things actually do make a difference over time if a lot of people are pushing certain things. There are congressmen and senators out there that do take that into account, right? Because they're supposed to be representatives of their districts. And the way to know what the district wants is by reaching out to them and building that relationship with them. And again, I'm not expecting like everybody to go out there and do that. I'm just saying that, we need to be voicing. And if you're an entrepreneur, maybe think of how to create large language models, or how to maybe think about creating a research facility that does that, right? Again, anything is possible if you're willing to take the time and learn and to put that step forward. There's a lot of things that I want to do in that regard as I move into the next steps with a lot of the stuff that we're doing. But again, you're going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to be a part of the policies that are being made in this space, because a lot of it's going to get consolidated. And this is another perfect example of Apple, who was in the space. They had their Apple Foundation. They had large language models that they were working. And now they're thinking of scrapping that to keep up with the competitive advantage by going with OpenAI and Anthropic, which OpenAI is one of the and Anthropic are major ones across all different types of technological infrastructure. So again, it's all consolidating to the top. So something to think about. And I encourage each and every one of you to spend time learning, understanding, studying, utilizing artificial intelligence, because it is a resource that's going to be useful, that will help you in the future.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
We had our Refined Integrity event over this weekend, and it's a men's group that we have, and we did a retreat where we did a lot of what we call war planning. So it includes like goal setting, future planning for your values and your principles, and making decisions based off of your values and principles. And then we went ahead and talked a little bit about, and then we did financial stuff. And then we did breath work, which is amazing. We did ice bath, which is amazing, and just a great place for brotherhood. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to refinedintegrity.com or follow Coach JV_ on Instagram, or Refined Integrity on Instagram or social media. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it really touched my heart. And so I went home that evening and I decided to make an Instagram post, and I decided to edit it with Instagram, not with edits, not with my phone, and then put it. I was just going to do it on Instagram, then download it, then redistribute it everywhere. And what I found was that on my Instagram account, it is letting me do 20-minute videos. And apparently this is something that possibly had changed a while ago. I didn't do too much research. I just wanted to mention it to you because this is a really great step forward as it relates to Reels and being able to do longer reels because of the fact that, you know, sometimes it would get cut at that 60 second, and then they upped it to 3 minutes. And sometimes you want to make longer videos and maybe repost them on other platforms if they take up to longer videos. It's also, I think, another way for Instagram to compete with YouTube. But I went ahead and made a 15-minute video talking about, or it was about 12-minute video talking about, you know, the importance of men having communities, sharing with each other, being vulnerable with each other. And I believe that those types of things, when you're really focusing on the values and the principles and moving your families forward, it's going to move men away from this toxic masculinity, depending on the different types of influencers they follow in the space. And so I made this great post. I edited it. It took me like 40 minutes in total. And then for some reason, because my phone had too much stuff on it, it wouldn't upload and I lost it. But the important thing is there are these longer form videos that are out there on Instagram. Now, the difficulty thing is, one thing is when I was posting it, it did say, hey, this is over 3 minutes. It's more than likely not going to go to new people. So that means that the longer form videos will probably be served up for your specific subscribers, which is great to know if you want to make something that might just go to subscribers, or that you don't want to be completely posted out. Now, it still probably will go to outside sources if it's longer, but again, Instagram said that it more than likely won't. It'll just more than likely be showed to your subscribers. The other problem is if you utilize Instagram like I do to create the videos and then I repurpose them or download them and then repurpose them, then I want to make sure that that I don't go over a certain length, because, you know, on Instagram, you can only go up to 2 or 3 minutes. YouTube, you can go up technically anywhere. So you could kind of make that video and post it on YouTube, right? If you're needing to have a source of making the video and then, you know, producing it on Instagram and moving it over to YouTube, that could probably work for these longer form videos. But you wouldn't be able to put it on Snapchat. You wouldn't be able to, or for Spotlight, which is on Snapchat, you wouldn't be able to put it on X. You probably could put it on at a longer length. You probably couldn't put it on TikTok, because I think TikTok only goes up to 10 minutes, but that could have changed. But again, I think it's a push to show that, hey, there might be this growing push for this longer form content, and that could be definitely beneficial. So I would recommend that you take a look at it if you're a content creator. And if you're not a content creator, or maybe you're one of our podcast hosts, I encourage our podcast hosts to have content that goes out for free that you're pushing on your social media platform that's apart from the regular content that you do on your main podcast show or your main show. The reason why that's important is because you want to hit them with free, and then do the call to the action to the main thing that maybe you're selling advertisements for, or you have affiliate marketers for, or you're selling another product. You could do the free thing to your lengthier content, like your YouTube channel or to your audio podcast. And then on there, you can then do the call to action to the other thing that you're selling. Because really, when we're thinking about content creation, there's only a few ways. There's two main ways to make money. It's either through sponsorships and ad deals, or have a product that you kind of sell. I mean, that's what I use this specific podcast for. Now we have dynamic ads that run and we push ads here as being a part of the podcast network. But again, the main purpose is for me to talk to you about, the Age of Radio podcast network, my insurance company that I have, the entrepreneurial stuff that I'm doing, and then hopefully that kind of helps you. So I just really encourage anybody that is in content creation, that's outside of content creation on Instagram, or even if they are on those platforms, that I encourage you to make content that's made for that content without any call to actions in them on a regular basis. And what I mean by on a regular basis, I'm specifically meaning like maybe like 2 days a week, you do a call to action to push them to another platform or for the thing that you're selling. And then on the other ones, you maybe mention it, but you don't do a direct call to action for it, one. And two, you have that content as a free source of content of learning on a broader scale of what it is that you talk or niche down on into your podcast episode. So like, for example, on a lot of my free content, I talked about financial tips along with the other things that I'm doing. And then every blue moon or every week or once a week, twice a week, I do a call to action to listen to the podcast, usually right after this podcast comes out. So I'm recording this on Monday. It'll come out on Tuesday. And there might be a call to action for you guys to come and listen to it either through a story or maybe a lengthier call to action through like a reel. And so again, one of the important pieces of being on the social media platforms, creating separate content, not just constantly advertising the content that you have.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta Sky Miles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta Sky Miles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Been doing a lot of reflecting and organization and trying to pinpoint the things that helped make me successful. One of those was obviously working a lot, but then trying to, as I've talked about in the podcast, get that to more like 55 hours a week. I think that's a much better place to be in than 40 hours a week personally. The reason being is because if you're at 55 hours a week, you're putting in a whole extra week of work that other people aren't. And if you can stay as efficient as you can in those, right? That's why the 50 to 55 is good, because over that, there's less efficiency. Then you can produce a whole nother week, a year of actual work that you've done that other people have not. And that's why that's so important. The problem is staying effective on the things that you know that you should be doing, and help at getting people to help you on the other things that you know that you need help with, so that you can focus on the other things that are like the most important revenue driving or innovating activities, which is where I'm currently at and working to master that and get much, much better at it. Because I'm just being parent Age of Radio. I personally enjoy having individuals reach out to me. At some point it'll have to go to a support system, like a support at ageofradio.com, and have the ability to put in a support ticket and so forth, because we have so many podcast hosts. And that'll be a different route for the podcast host, and say maybe that's just someone trying to find a podcast, or if when we launch the app, right, they deserve a different level of support. But it's always eye-opening to me that things that fall through the cracks when you're not kind of looking at them specifically. There's a show that I thought that was fully distributed. Hadn't had a chance to go back in and double check it. And was kind of relying on him to reach out to me. But again, he probably had a busy life too. And then when he reached out to me, come to find that it's not distributed everywhere that it needs to be distributed. And those are the things that I really want to try to work better. And I'm just being transparent. I mean, we can go in a very big growth spurt at Age of Radio with podcasts coming on, depending on the outreach level and what's happening. And so that's why this type of like having these things organized and structured better is really important. But on the flip side, again, one of the things that I think Steve Jobs did well, and I think I'm going to spend some time maybe here next year, we're reading over his biography and the books that have been done about his processes, and even maybe, Wozniak, is that, when there was like a key thing that you wanted to really focus on, you would hyper focus on that thing to make that the best thing. Some of those decisions were good, some of those decisions were bad. But the point is when you do that, you block out all the noise and the other stuff that's going on. And for me, that's innovating inside of the podcast space. As I've talked a lot about on this podcast, going on the ups and downs of trying to build the podcast app. So I spent time looking at the wireframe that I have for the desktop version of the app, and I can't. Again, I'm going to be a little bit biased because it's mine, and it's not always. We always think that our stuff is much better than other people think it is because it's ours. I get that, but it looked pretty good. And a lot of the components that exist inside the desktop wireframe is going to make it easy to make a minimal viable option for the thing for the app, minimal viable product for the application, and then to grow from there, which I was really happy about. But the thing that kind of has not been that maybe happy is making the time for that innovation and time for a second innovation. And so what I really want to talk about is it's not going to be a bunch of different things. It's going to be like this one key point that I want to make on this podcast. Well, maybe a few more points, but the main key point is that one, you have to schedule in the time for the creation and the innovation of the thing that you want to create. When I was doing that regularly, it was exhausting because I was doing it really late at night. So I need to kind of fix that part and maybe push some other things aside and get other people to help in other areas. But when you have that regular thing that you do, I can't believe that I had made the progress that I had made on the application when I was doing that a year and a half ago or 2 years ago on a regular basis to get to the wireframe that I wanted. And so if I had stuck with that and then found a way to convert it over to an app faster and kept up my skill set in the application that I was using, which is Figma, I'd have the app done by now because I would easily be able to convert it back into how I wanted the app to be from a minimal viable option from the get-go, and then be able to just convert it over to that. And then I could go find someone to do the UI. We have a UI guy now that I can pay to do it or have help to pay to do it. And then we have our chief technology officer who's all for Blockheads, who's also going to help hopefully get it out the gate. And so the point is that all the pieces are there. Now I just have to finalize it and move it to the podcast option, because just to go out the gate with a podcast app rather than the desktop version, and then come back and see how we can integrate it into making the desktop app version. And so from my perspective, rather than really focusing on you need to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing, like the tools that you're utilizing. And I've learned this from Miyamoto Musashi. The tools that you're utilizing or the weapons that you're utilizing have to be for creating the most amount of resource. You don't want to use a tool that's not going to be the best amount of resource for you, because the tool itself will probably end up, not being what you need it to be, or it's a waste of time if you're not utilizing, in his case, the right weapon, in my case, just the resource of the tool that you're using. And so for that regard, it doesn't make sense to hardcore go in on this point in time from a app creation standpoint for from outside of the design phase. The design phase and how it needs to be for me. The coding phases and the other phases need to be from other people, and then help with the things that they might think wrong is with the design phase. And so like the restructuring is just saying, hey, look, Jeremy, your focus is going to be on the innovation of the wireframe and the design and what the thing needs to look like at the end, not the focus of the actual being able to code and create the thing that you're going to be creating in the end. So restructuring my mindset to a designer's standpoint, which is kind of like what Musk does now for, Tesla and for SpaceX, is the design phase utilizing Autodesk and the inventor stuff and the engineering stuff that they use and all the stuff that they use. My thing that I need to utilize is, okay, I'm the designer, I'm the innovator, or the people that need to look like at this, and then I can find the pieces to make it actually come to life and get perfected by the other people that do this on a regular basis. And the key way to do that is to have blocked time. And this is something you probably know, especially if you listen to me, but I just want to reiterate it. It's so important to have that specific blocked time on a regular basis to work on the thing that you're trying to get better at and get perfected to move what it is that you need to move your company into the next era. And I think that that's one of the things that has been really maybe not revitalizing, but the thing that's been on my heart the most and refreshing, I guess, for me to be able to say, okay, I know that this is the most important thing. I know that I need to do this. The other things, I need to get people to help me around, and I need to block out time to do those other things around this thing being blocked in, because I know that whether or not it's the best, because it's not going to, it could be, I'm not saying it couldn't be, but the likelihood of it coming out and everybody being like, oh, I'm going to get this, it's going to take a lot of work. I can see it because I have an app already called Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, that is great. People love it. People get it. It's getting more customers. How can we get more customers? How can we do more with it? Right? That's going to be the same thing with this app, especially because this is even more exhausted. So there's going to have to be things that are differentiated. That differentiation can be cost. That differentiation can be the product itself and how we're innovating in it. And also the marketing that goes along with it. Liquid Death is just water in a can. And they're one of the most, they've taken the water. I mean, they become $1 billion, maybe, I'm sure it's $1 billion, high $1 billion company in freaking water. And they put water in a can. And why is it good? Because of the way that they're marketing it. Okay. So key thing is that whatever you're building, whatever you're doing, the things that need to be moving the needle forward, they need to have time for you to work on those needle moving forward activities. That needs to be blocked out on your schedule. That's the first thing that I want to mention in this episode about how to move you forward in innovation. Okay. The second thing about that is that if you're making time for that, that's the time when you can be creative with the thing that you're creating. When we're creating in a non-organized way or in a non-structured way, we create less. And I've been reading The Creator's Way, I think is what it's called, this book called The Creator's Way. And that's one of the biggest things that she talks about. And it's an academic that wrote this book about how we can all be creative, right? And the way to do that is to set time to be creative, not when, try to have this creative inspiration. You need to actively try to be creative in the thing to make the thing happen. And that's how this hour thing helps. The other thing that helps is also setting time to be creative in the other things that you want to experiment with, right? So for me, innovation in real estate, and I guess maybe not innovation in real estate, but innovate. The reason why I mentioned real estate is because during my innovation time, I'm going to be studying a lot about real estate, because there's a really big plan in place to move heavily into real estate and to get a certain portfolio built in a specific amount of time for me personally. And that doesn't mean that you can't figure out how to be creative in the real estate way if you're actively doing it. And so the point is, while I'm utilizing that for study for real estate, blocking this extra time to be innovative in things that you want to learn about and the things that you want to be creative in and innovate in and practice those things, whatever they are, because in that time you get to practice that art of being creative in whatever, and then you can learn to be more creative in general. And that's how we can learn to be more innovative, is by learning how to be more creative and making sure that we set the time aside for those specific things. And that's really the key thing that I've just been focusing on for these last couple of weeks, and have finally dialed it in to move that piece forward. And I'm really excited about where I'm going with that. So 2 things: set time aside to innovate and create the thing that is going to move your company the furthest. Okay. And secondly, schedule time to set time to be creative, whatever that means for you. That could be doing calligraphy. That could be writing code. That could be writing in general. That could be lots of things, but you need to make time to practice that innovation and to study how you're going to innovate in the future and how you're going to create in the future. Again, I'm mixing creativity and innovation together. And so I guess my thing is like, for me, I'm mixing them together because being innovation is being creative. So I'm not going to go personally and just in that other hour that I have set aside, sit and do calligraphy. I will sit in that time and be creative in the ideas that I want to create in the world and practice and study those things during that time. For a lot of individuals out there, that could be, though, going into that space and practicing music, or trying to learn a new hobby, or trying something new in a project that they're working on, right? When we're looking at projects and we're trying to be, how can we be innovative in this space? You have to sit and then start to think about those things and try those things. It's not going to be the biggest thing that she learned from the woman that wrote this book. I can't remember her name. The Creator's Way or the Creator's Choice I think it's Creator's Choice, is that that gut feeling that you have that this is right is usually not the best solution to a problem. The best solution to the problem is when you sit there and come up with lots of different solutions to the problem, think about them, come up with new ones, try them out, think about them, come up with new ones, and then you get to the better one, right? It's not always for everybody. And for most people, especially from the research that she's done, this gut feeling that gets you to have the best solution or the most creative way to solve a specific problem. So that's what I have for you guys today. I appreciate you. As I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Age of Jeremy. Again, my name is Jeremy Quintanilla. Follow me on Instagram at Age of Jeremy and join my Dope Insights and Updates broadcast channel. The opening song was Can't Be Cool Forever by Medium Build. The closing song was Mutable by Spanish Love Songs. I'm recording into a Neumann microphone, into a Zoom L8 mixer, going to Cubase's Elements by Steinberg. And then I'm going to use Waves plugins in post. And make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast and share it with whomever you like. And one last time, remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. Bye.
Wish I could live my life until I die.